Hi, welcome back to Future Fast. And once again, we have Thomas Frey with us. And you know what the conversation has been about. And this particularly is about future and only about future and his predictions on that. So I'm sure you've heard the other two parts of our conversation. If you have not, please do go back and listen to them. And if you're not subscribed to Future Fast, do it right now. Thomas, once again, thank you so much for being with us. And I'll jump in straight. So, what are the biggest changes you foresee in the future?
Yeah, I actually see lots of lots of changing based on different technologies. Like as an example, lab grown meat. If we're able to actually take the stem cells from animals and put them into these giant vats and actually grow this vat full of meat, then we will change our diets significantly because we won't just be relying on beef, chicken, pork, and fish. We will we'll start to experiment with what does wombat meat taste like, what does penguin meat taste like, what does bumblebee meat taste like, and and so each of these will come with its own testimonial as to I was eating bumblebee meat and it cured this problem that I was having. I think that's I think we're going to come up with technology for scanning the human body and understanding what all things are wrong, and then actually having like a pill printer that would actually print a pill with all of the supplements and everything that you need to help your body self-correct. I think we're going to get into some of those elements as well. Um, I I think that human aging is going to go up and down for a while until we get to a point where we can actually sustain life much longer. Um, there's been lots of predictions surrounding this, but so far we've not been able to. Nobody's living past 120, and when you meet the people that are getting close to that age, it's not very appealing. So most people don't want to live that long. So somehow we need to have a more inspiring anti-aging I don't know effort that's going on. Something where we're still energized, still flexible, still moving, still mentally engaged, even though it's way beyond the years of the past where we yeah, I mean, in the past, nobody lived to be 80 years old. I mean, DaVinci died at 68. Um, that was considered an old man at that time. And so right now, I think there's there's so many fascinating technologies going off in all these different directions. Robotics is, I think, going to be so fascinating because I think we're going to have human like robots that are doing things in our houses that will have them as our assistants to clean our houses. And I love to ask this question: if we have a robot that can wash our dishes, will we still need dishwashers? Um, if we have a robot that can prepare foods, healthy, real healthy foods, and prepare meals for us, are we still going to go out to eat at restaurants, or will we be more inclined to start eating at home then? When you start thinking about these little shifts and how that massively changes society just as a result of that one thing shifting a little bit this way or that way. Um, our our robot dogs are they going to replace living dogs that we have right now? Or if we have a robot dog, um, will that robot dog act like a dog that is it supposed to protect us from danger? And if it spots danger, what does it do? Does it growl? Does it show its teeth? Or do we suddenly talk to our dog? Does the dog talk back and forth to us? And does that dog transition into more human form by standing up on its hind legs? And is that the dog that will make our beds and clean our houses for us? And so this idea with robots being able to climb walls and jump, and what is the extent of their capabilities, and are we still going to are we going to have people that decide that we need to have somebody assassinated, so we send in a robot dog to assassinate that person? Are lots of our movies in the future going to be about the robot dog that went off on the deep end? So anyway, I go off on weird tangents sometimes. So,
But how do you think we should prepare for a world like that? I mean, good as well as the robot dogs that could attack, that could be used as weapons, versus all those things also, right? I mean, these things just don't change our lifestyles. This changes each aspect of our life. So how do you suggest we prepare for it? How do you suggest that the policymakers should prepare for it?
yeah, that's such a tricky topic area, because if the policymakers step in too early, then they really limit the capabilities of the technology. If they step in too late, then there's lots of things that have gone wrong before they get there. So it's very important that I don't know. I think each of these technology areas needs to have its own kind of policy group within its own network that kind of steers it in the right direction. I mean, we have problems with AI right now, where some of the AI technology will go out and actually just make up sources and make up references for books and court cases and things that actually don't exist. And so how do you add truthful elements to all these things? How do you do cross-checking and verifications to make sure that we're getting the right stuff? Yeah, I think it's going to be too easy in the future to eliminate people that we don't like. Just as an example, we have a gazillion satellites in space right now. If we can just hit a button and a laser beams down and kills somebody, then it becomes way too easy to start using that and start going down the wrong path. I don't think we should. I don't think we should make it easy. And I think the bad people in the world actually steer us in some good directions. I mean, they push against us, and so that strengthens our resolve. It strengthens our ambitions and passions. I think that's a good thing.
Are there futurists that you admire? Do you want to talk about them?
There's actually quite a few futurists out there. Mikhail Kaku, he's absolutely brilliant. A friend of mine, Young-Suk Park in South Korea, one of the few women futurists. She's absolutely brilliant. She's constantly pushing the envelope. Gerd Leonard, he's looking at things from a whole different perspective. He's from Switzerland. So there was four of us that were asked to remake the intro to to the Jetsons. This is a cartoon series that came out in 1962, and it was Lisa Cager, Kevin Kelly, myself, and one other person, and we all weighed in on this, and they redid this intro to the Jetsons cartoon. And well, what was so fascinating about that is an exercise that the Jetsons were actually created in 1962, trying to portray life as what it would be like in 2062, 100 years in the future. And so they were asking us, based on our vantage point today of what we understand about 2062, how would we go about portraying that? And so then we called in one of Hollywood filmmakers to come in and redo that. And you can find that on YouTube if you look that up. But it's a fascinating exercise to go through, to think through how are people going to be living in 2062. I mean, just what is the act of watching television going to be like? Are we still going to be looking at this appliance in the front of the room? Is it going to be digital wallpaper? Will it be a projected image? Will it be three-dimensional? Can we interact with it? Can we touch it? Can we feel it? All of these things, I think, are elements to take into consideration. With AI right now, AI is going to have this ability to actually understand our reactions to things. If we're reading a book on an e-reader, these AI books will actually write themselves as you're reading based on your reaction to it. And so it'll know what things catch your attention, it'll know what things you react to, and it'll change the plot line for the book as you're reading it. The same with movies. It will recreate pieces of the movie as you're going along. AI will actually, based on your reaction, it'll change the movie. So two people that go watch this movie will see something totally different. I find that absolutely fascinating.
Well, if somebody wants to be a futurist, uh, what do you think they should do? How do you think they can prepare themselves towards becoming a futurist?
There are some college courses out there that teach all the technical ways of becoming a futurist. Andy Hines runs a program, University of Houston, down in Texas. There's programs in Finland, and there's a dozen or so good programs around the world. And so you can actually spot lots of these programs online. So that'll give you a sense as to what you need to become a futurist. There is no certification for becoming a futurist. There's no law that says that you could actually hang out a sign out in front calling yourself a futurist, and nobody could argue about that. So there's lots of I think there's an opportunity there to actually kind of wrestle this idea of what a futurist is to the ground. being a religious futurist is radically different than being a technology futurist. So there's lots of futurists that work in the criminal law area, and how should we be handling crime in the future? What constitutes a crime in the future, and what's an appropriate form of punishment for those types of crimes? Yeah, so there's lots of different aspects of being a futurist. But some of the other futurists that people can pay attention to are, Bruce Sterling is real interesting, Patrick Dixon, Gerd Leonard, Mike Walsh. Let me just think of a few more Of course, Gene Roddenberry was the guy that created Star Trek. um, Star Trek actually came out 4 years after the Jetsons cartoon did.
All right.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
Thomas, how important it is for the futurists to one having made a prediction that this could happen in the future, and how important is it, or is it important at all, to expect a solution from the futurist, assuming that there is this could happen, which is not so good, but it could happen. But is there an expectation, even as a futurist, if you say that this kind of a bad thing could happen, are you expected, or is there an expectation as a futurist to give a solution that how to handle that, or how to overcome that, or what could be the solution for that?
um, well, the first step is to create awareness of this. This has the potential to become a big problem, um, and and we draw attention to it with that.
Correct.
Uh, and so once we draw attention to it, then we start seeing lots of brain power going into what are some possible solutions. Um, there's lots of futurists that are doing scenarios, and
But
it'll
is
take.
that expected out of a futurist, that you have to be able to give or come up with some solutions, no matter however right or wrong? But is that an expectation, or is that good enough to say that I see this is going to happen, but I don't know how to handle it, or I don't even have to say that I don't know
Yeah,
what could be the solution? Is there an expectation out of a futurist if you say that this is something that is a likelihood?
yeah. I think that's a natural extension of recognizing the problem, that you're going to be able to offer some type of solutions or some recommendations,
No,
or
but it's difficult, right? Like, see, all of us are saying that petrol and diesel are going to run out, right?
yeah,
And electric vehicles are clearly not 100% substitute, because they just can't meet the 100% requirement of our transportation in absence of these. So we are running into the end of fossil fuel, and we still don't have a solution, but it's okay, right? We will come up with something. We have to keep thinking about it, but it's okay to say that we will run out and we don't have anything. But is that something that weighs on you as a futurist, that you have to give a solution?
yeah. So that's a great setup that you have there. Um, I think it's important that people be able, that a futurist be able to talk through some of the options, or at least understand some approach to finding an answer. You may not have the answer, but if there's a methodology, if there's a way of approaching this so that you can actually find a solution, that I think is important. Um, are the electric vehicles only a blip in time, that we're going to be using them until we come up with something else? Is hydrogen vehicles, is that a better solution? But we'd have to create a massive, huge global infrastructure for dealing with hydrogen, and so um, understanding all of the options that are out there, I think it's important that they do that. I think that every futurist needs to understand, um, at least have a good understanding of what the options are, and then they can put their own spin on this one. I think is more probable than the other ones. But again, some of these problems are very difficult. They're very challenging to solve, and the problems didn't just manifest themselves overnight. They've taken a long time to kind of come into being. Um, like when the end of the horse and carriage era, when horses and carriages were driving everybody around, then somebody who was a blacksmith, who did all the horseshoes and all the metal work surrounding all that. A lot of them were probably inclined to shift professions to do something else. Some of them just kept becoming a blacksmith. They kept doing that work, and they found themselves employed by different groups of people then. A lot of the wealthy people then started using horses for sport and for games and other things. And so they managed to stay employed anyway, in spite of the problems that were there. We're going to have lots of situations similar to that moving forward.
Well, true. In fact, to the audience and listeners, we've had some very interesting conversations where somebody talked about why hydrogen as a fuel, at least as of now, is not an option. We've had people making very strong cases for electric. We've also had somebody making very strong case that electric is not reliable. And we've had people talking about we will live for 1,000 years and death will become option. So I urge you go back, look up. We've had some great people who have spent their 30, 40 years in a whole lot of these technologies and researching and making these things happen, but they are working towards that. Yes, Thomas.
Yeah. So I think it's important that people kind of center in on what's driving this. I mean, people love the idea of being able to fly around the world. They love the idea of being able to travel out into space and to set up a city in the middle of the ocean. They're fascinated by these things. Some of them are unrealistic. I think we may end up having laws against actually reproduction in space. I mean, having kids born in space. I think that probably is cruel and unusual punishment for that child, being born in space and then trying to live in space. I don't know. We may run into that type of problem.
Oh, well, I was actually, I don't know whether is that a step towards making predictions. So are you good to make three predictions? So one, should I take this into account that in the space world of our future, reproduction will be banned? I mean, you cannot have babies while in space travel. I mean, how did you think about it?
Yeah. Yeah, that one I'm not ready to make any predictions on, but one prediction that I've been sticking with is that by 2030, the largest company on the internet, I believe, is going to be an education-based company that we haven't heard of yet. And this is by
Just
2030.
less than 7 years from now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I think that the education world is in for massive changes. And I think with AI poised as it is today, I think we're going to have an education system that's radically different than what we're going through today. And I think it changes very fast. The the online world just scales up tremendously. Yeah, we're moving into this spatial web era. You know, we've actually been taught from birth actually to think two-dimensionally. We have two-dimensional paper, two-dimensional books, even the computer screens we look at are two-dimensional. And so when it comes to seeing things three-dimensionally, understanding that third dimension, we're still not good at that. So I think we're going to figure out ways to teach people from birth how to think three-dimensionally. Yeah, I'm not sure how much longer we're going to be a literate society in the form of reading and writing. Because when we start talking back and forth to our computers, are we still going to need to read and write? That that theme keeps coming back to me again and again and again. With AI coming into play, and we can talk back and forth to it, and it reads everything back to us. Do we need to be literate the way we are today? And I see a lot of young people growing up saying, "Oh, screw that! I don't want to do that. I want to. I just want to talk back and forth to my computer."
Absolutely, yeah. These are actually the day-to-day thing today. So
Right.
I think it has to have a bearing in future.
Yeah. I think the idea of driving a car is going to transition into much of a hobby in the future. Um, I would much rather just get into a car and let it take me to where I need to go, rather than to focus all this time and energy on accomplishing that. That's tricky.
Oh
So
yes. Yep.
I don't know if that helps you at all. Um,
Oh, surely.
so one one area that I think is so fascinating, in the future, I think our houses are going to have docking ports for our flying drones, so that we can have a flying drone that comes in and delivers the groceries to our house. It delivers packages to our house. But that same type of drone that docks with our house will be able to dock with our house and deliver batteries to our house. It'll change out the batteries in our house. It'll deliver water to our house. It can take out the sewage out of our house. That drone docking system will be able to do so many things that we currently haven't got into our heads that we're going to be able to do. So rather than having a house that has all of the pipes coming to it underground and electrical lines and everything, we can set up a house in the middle of nowhere and have drones support that house. I think that's fascinating, and that's certainly not going to be for everybody, but I think that opens the door for possibilities that we've never envisioned in the past.
Yeah. Well, I tend to visualize as people speak. This is looking like a movie to me. So wonderful. Uh, well, Thomas, is there any word of advice that you want to give to entrepreneurs on how to work towards making this change for the future?
Yeah. So the the future favors the bold. I think it's the people that are willing to stick their neck out and take risks. Those are the ones that um, I think mankind is indebted to these people, that are willing to actually uh, take chances and take risks that other people just never thought was a good idea. So yeah, I I um, I actually see obsession being a good thing. Um, I see the people that are obsessed with their ideas, they're the ones that actually make things happen. And so I think it's okay to be passionate, to be obsessed with things. Um, I don't know if that's good advice or not, but
Oh, well, I just got reminded of, I'm forgetting the name, the creator of Dilbert, Scott Adams.
oh
Uh,
yeah,
he actually says passion is bullshit. But That's kind of stuck every time someone says passion. But no, I am in agreement with you. It's very necessary, and I think most of us as entrepreneurs are driven by passion. But I also understand the context in which Scott Adams says passion is bullshit. So I think,
Right.
Thomas, thank you so much. This is brilliant, and sorry, I also see that I've taken more of your time than what you'd agreed. So my apologies for that. But thank you. This was brilliant. And to the audience and listeners, I'm sure you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I'm sure most of you would want to come back and listen to it once again, which I think I'm going to do as well. And please feel free to go and share it across. And if you're not yet subscribed to Future Fast, do it now. And all the links of what Thomas Fry is doing are shared below. Please follow him and follow the kind of work and subscribe to his work as well, and the podcast as well. And with that, till we come back with another exciting guest, enjoy the ride. Thomas,
All
thank
right.
you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.